Hey guys, this is Cheesette Cowan, CEO of Real Estate, excited about talking to you about how to have conversations that convert. I think as realtors, we all know that language of sales is a great part of what we do, and we practice scripting and things of that nature. However, in this video, we're going to talk about some scripting, but we're also going to talk about the language of sales and how it helps or hinders us where conversion is concerned. Words are containers, they actually give forth feelings, believe it or not. And sometimes the words we use can either trigger sales resistance or sales readiness. And we want to make sure that we're using the right set of words to help our clients make decisions to work with us because, after all, we are the best realtors in town. I know that. You know that. So let's get into how we can get our clients to see that from our perspective when we're having conversations with them. Quick reminder, do not cut this video short. Watch all the way to the end, all the way to the end, because I got some free resources for you. They're pretty cool, and I know you're going to enjoy them. Okay, so let's get right into the content of this video. Want to make sure I preface it by saying that sales is a language. A lot of us get into sales, and I know that you may be developing your skills. And as you develop that, it is important to understand that primarily the sales function is going to be a language function. And I think understanding that really helps you understand exactly what you need to do, say, what it needs to look like for you to make sales. Because language is a huge part of sales because it impacts how we receive, how the customer on the other end perceives and receives what you're saying. And to me, it is the most important part of converting in sales. I cannot express how much we have to focus on conversation. The skillful realtor is going to do this. And I'm going to just tell you the three things that I think you must stay away from because they create sales resistance. And that's the last thing we want to create in the mind of somebody that we're going to potentially be selling to. So, first thing is tell me more about. Absolutely do not do that. And let me tell you why. Replace that and ask what you really want to know. So if somebody says, I want to sell my house, I'm moving to Florida and I want to eventually get settled down there, buy a house probably in Miami, but we may build a house in Tampa until our kids graduate from college because we decide we want to stay there while they're in college. Great. Instead of saying, tell me more about that, ask exactly what you want to know. And I say that because that's a loaded statement that a customer can make. Tell me a little bit about your first move. See, instead of telling me more about your move, tell me a little bit about your first leg of your move. Just so I'm clear, you want to move to Tampa and stay there for 10 years. Ask about what you want. And here's why. Think of it like scripting is for you. Scripting helps you know what you have to say. Framing is for them. And when I say framing, you want to keep them moving forward, and that's going to happen in frames. I wish you guys understood television and TV and how things are framed per second. And the purpose for that is so that people can understand where to position content. And it really is the same way in everything because I'm thinking about the bars of a song. It's 16 bars. They're all positioned a certain way. The purpose of that is framing. It helps the ask leading and sorting questions, and it helps them engage their brain because believe it or not, most people are on autopilot. They say a lot of things repeatedly and they don't realize it. So if you really want to get information, instead of saying, tell me more about, ask specifically about the thing you want to know about. So, and also, when you say tell me more about, it almost is almost like you're saying to the person, prove it, tell me, convince me. And believe it or not, it's a subtle nuance that creates sales resistance because if you're like me, when you say tell me more, I automatically get overwhelmed because I don't want to tell you more. I want you to just get it the first time. However, if you ask me a specific question, I am more apt to answer than if you just say tell me more because my first brain is like, tell you more what? It wasn't clear what I said, and then you got all these emotions. So even though this is sales, skills, it is knowing people at the end of the day as well, because conversion is a result of conversation. I'm going to say that again. Conversion is a result of conversation. So we want to make sure that our conversations are skillful and masterful. And I always tell my people to learn how to be a good conversationalist. So when you say, tell me more about, or ask specific questions, they talk more easier. The conversation becomes easier. You don't get the sales resistance. The second phrase that is killing your conversion, I'm killing your conversion, And here's the thing, very small nuances, you probably don't even realize you're doing it. How does that sound? Oh my gosh, don't. And here's why: logic makes people think, emotion typically makes people act. So when you say, how does that sound? You're engaging the part of their brain that's analytical. They're thinking. That's the decision part. That thing can go on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever, and you can never get a solid answer. How about replacing that statement with, how would you feel if, or how would it feel if? We want them to feel. People make decisions in two places. That's another thing. And when I say people make decisions in two places, think about it like this. Have you ever wanted to make a decision and you're like, you know what? It sounds good, but something just don't feel right, right? We all have had that. And think about that when you're talking to a seller. Is that the feeling you want them to get? Like, wow, Cheesette, you talking and it sound real good, but just don't feel right. And what happens when it doesn't feel right, even if it sounds right, they stop. They're not making a decision to move forward. And the reason why you want to engage that how do you feel part of your brain, because that's a pulse check for how the conversation is going. Let them get in touch with those feelings that they're feeling so they can start to open up to you emotionally. And we want to make sure that we create that space of, however you're feeling, we want to create a safe space. We appeal to their emotional intelligence, not just their intelligence. And when I tell you we want them to make informed decisions, we want them to use their brain. I'm not saying shut off your brain and just go by your feelings. Absolutely not. I'm saying that once the logic is in place, make sure you're checking for the feeling behind the decision, because that's going to be super important. Last one, quick one: budget. Do not say budget. And when I say do not say budget, it is a word, believe it or not, highly researched. And I do a lot of research before I come to you with the content and topics for the video. Highly researched. This actually is the number one phrase that creates sales resistance. It automatically puts a wall up because so many feelings are attached to money. So many feelings are attached to not having enough, or having too much. Meaning there are people that feel like, oh, they got too much money, so I don't like them. You don't need that much money. And then there are people that feel like, oh, I don't have enough, so I'm just not, I don't measure up. I can't. So what it creates in some, it's embarrassment, all the negative feelings that we want to avoid. So instead, we could replace that with something creative like, what is your buying power? What is your spending power? What range feels most comfortable for you in buying? What price point would you like to be at? That indicates that they're in charge of the choice, and they can really start to now think about what they want versus how they feel. Because remember, the feelings are great if they're moving them forward. If they're feelings of doubt, shame, anything that is negative, it's going to pause them. So when you say, what are you most comfortable, what is your price point, or what are you most comfortable at price point wise when buying a home, it creates a safe space for them to now answer the question without all the extra feelings. And believe it or not, people often feel embarrassed. And I had somebody, her budget was 900,000, and I use the word budget. And again, this is something I'm working out in real time, by the way. So I still have these slip ups, even though I'm scripted and I practice scripts and I work to become really good at scripts. I still have this slip up. I said, what is your budget? She's like, well, we only got approved for 900,000. I'm like, only? She was like, well, I know that the house we were looking at was 1.2 million. We didn't quite get there. And she was actually ashamed that she had a $900,000 budget. And I was like, girl, my house ain't even worth $900,000 now. So are and it really was just the word. And she's a friend. So I asked her, and she's like, well, when we didn't get approved and you said budget, it made me feel inferior because I know where I wanted to be. Now, that was in her head. I didn't have any of that. I didn't express any of that. None of that was in my consciousness. However, that's what she felt. And here's what you have to know: when you're dealing with sellers, buyers, or clients, period, perception is reality. So how they feel is going to determine how they make decisions. So these quick, simple word swaps are things that you can do to really help you grow and just become better at converting. In our CEO of Real Estate membership, we focus a lot on language and the language of sales and the feelings attached to sales, because as we start to show our agents how to automate things, we also have to show them that when we're segmenting into customer avatars, how these customers may feel with different trigger words, with different buzzwords. These things are super important. So you are going to be able to download some of our free resources, mainly our scripts that we use when we're working with buyers and sellers. However, I also invite you to check out our website, the CEO of realestate.com. Check out the Blueprint membership. If this is something that you're struggling with, not knowing what to say when you get in front of clients, this is a skill set matter. This is something that you're going to have to work on time on task over time. This is something we do daily and weekly together as a collaborative in our CEO of Real Estate Blueprint membership. So click the link and I guarantee you, you will not be sorry. I'm excited to connect with you. Hey guys, thank you for tuning in, watching this video. I'm sure you can see the excitement. I love everything sales, everything real estate related. So I get a little giggy anytime we start talking about the nuances like language and things of that nature. But want to just really quick, just have a conversation with you and make sure you understand that words trigger feelings. Once the logic is in place, people will start to make decisions based on how they feel. If a decision feels good, then they believe it's the right decision. Once it passes the logic test. So we want you to be skilled enough to understand what you need to say to your client to make them understand the nuances of the deal being an actual good deal. And then once that's in place, we want to know how to get the feelings to support that so they can make a decision and move forward. Again, this is not something you need to do by yourself. I think the travesty that a lot of agents go through is spending time trying to do things that somebody else has already figured out. You're going to pay to learn. Either you're going to pay to learn it or you're going to pay on the back end for which you didn't know. A lot of real estate agents are missing a lot of money because they won't just tap into a source that can help them learn how to run and grow their business. I created one for you. I've created one that speaks to, we have dual career things and we have dynamic things for people that want to be listing focused. We have dynamic things for people that want to be buyer focused, for people that want to start ancillary businesses and grow their business through ancillary income. We are covering anything CEO related to real estate, and we'd love to have you. The website is the CEO of realestate.com, and I'm Cheesette Cowan, your next coach.